All right, Cousin Tony. We are here with the number one power couple in the hobby. They form with their children what I like to call the Incredibles of the sports card industry. I'm talking about Courtney and Jeremy Reckline, a.k.a. Reckless Cars. Welcome to the Cousins Collectibles podcast, guys.
Hey, thank you so much for having. I love the ease in which you lie to our face and tell us we're the power couple. I've never heard that one before. So,
well, I don't know of anybody else, so you're number one in my book. You know,
I like it. I'm here for it.
It's like Cousin Tony and I, we always joke around because our wives, they could give two S's about, what's going on with what we do in the card industry. Every now and then they'll ask about it, but for the most part, they could care less. So to see you guys together, it's pretty cool doing what you're doing. Tony was like, man, we got to talk to Reckless Cars. And I used to see your reels all the time. I was like, man, who is this, this lady doing these reels? And then I realized you guys were together and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then next thing you know, I see, I go on your stuff and I see your kids. And like, that's why I said like the Incredibles, so you guys, you do a lot of cool stuff. So, let's talk about that. How you guys, got together. Have you always collected? Was this something that you just formed lately? Like what's your backstory?
Yeah, so we went to school together and I used to, flirt with her in high school. I was the kid that, I would try to get girls to do my homework for me. And I was above the law, right? And for whatever reason, I know why, but she fell in love with me, and here we are today. But no, we both collectors since kids, and now that we're a little bit older, have a little bit of disposable income, we just try to share our experiences with other people.
This is something that we do as an entire family. We have 4 kids. All 4 of them are really into cards, and all of us, like as a whole, collect totally different things, and we have some overlap. So it's kind of fun because we are all like, oh, what are you collecting right now? What are you collecting right now? And, it's like something we can all enjoy together. And there's not a lot of things that you can do like that.
I hear you guys on your episodes talking about being good parents. And so for us, we're truly fortunate and blessed in the sense that our kids have gravitated towards something that we like. Mm-hmm. And so we've got a 16-year-old daughter, a 14-year-old son, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And when you can put 6 people together and not rip each other's heads off and not fight and argue and have like those moments that you truly cherish, it's like double bonus, man. So it's truly awesome.
Agreed. Because I have my daughter that we collect together, and like I always say, she's my little road dog. So when we get together, she collects any like Stranger Things, Disney, He-Man, all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty cool, like you said, having that bond with your children and just knowing. So I'm trying to get my wife on board. We'll get there. Maybe you can talk to her. Now, as a matter of fact, are you guys gonna go to the national, or so you guys are gonna be there?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I'll see if I get my wife down there. Maybe you guys, you can pull her to the side and say, yeah, this is pretty cool. Collecting cards is pretty cool, and you should do it with your husband.
I think it would be a better experience, though. But if I'm being honest, women are treated not the greatest in this hobby, and I get to see it firsthand from DMs or comments that are made that nobody would let somebody talk to their wife, mother, girlfriend that way, and why they think it's okay. Or oftentimes they think they're talking to me. And so that's the one fear I have when we're bringing female participants in we need to greet them with open arms. We need to treat them with the respect that we would want to be treated with. Otherwise, it's going to be stagnant. We're not going to continue to see this growth with females getting into this hobby that I really love.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And also, something that I see all the time is when I go to shows like that makes me feel uncomfortable. And I think a lot of women who are maybe newish to the hobby is that like, you'll be like, oh, I like these cards. And then the person who you're speaking to feels like it's, I don't know, their obligation to question your knowledge of every single thing. And we're like, I've been collecting my whole life, so I can, I don't know, man up or whatever they're looking to do. A lot of women who are new collectors can't. It's like the jerky guys when you're wearing like a band t-shirt and they're like, oh, name 3 songs. Like, just don't do that. Just don't. That's easy. That's an easy thing to do. Be more, like, women feel more comfortable. You know, they have to feel like they have to take a pop quiz every time they say, "Oh, I really like your card."
Yeah, I get that, you know, and there's gonna be trolls, haters, whatever you want to call them, in everything you do, you know, and it's just, it sucks that this hobby, you know, it's something that it's an escape from reality, something that you do on your own time, and for the women to come in and to actually enjoy it and do something that they really love, and then for somebody to just go crap on it just because they think they're better, you know, because they're male, it's just idiotic, you know what I mean? So it's just like we unfortunately you can't get rid of that, you know, there's always going to be that. You just got to be bigger than that, and you know.
Agreed. And then you have like good guys like you know, out there just like advocating
me.
and you advocating for like, hey, let's be better. So I like it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's crazy how like dudes are just jerks, man. Like, I mean, you're hidden behind you know, nobody knows. You hide behind your little phone, and it's crazy, man. I was like, it kills me. Like, what do you get out of that? You know what I mean? Like, you're just gonna crap on a female or whatever. So I don't know. Nobody's handing out awards.
Just anyone. You know, it doesn't have to be a guy girl thing. Like, how many times you post a card that you really like and someone's like, "Oh, that player sucks."
Yeah. No, yeah. And instead of like we always talk about, instead of encouraging the community, like you just, and it's just like, that's not, I mean, it's, I don't want to say it's everybody. It's just like that one or two, but those are the one or two that just stick in your head. You're like, damn, man, like what the heck? So I don't know, but enough about all those goofballs. I mean, let's talk about you guys. So you guys run an online hobby store, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we started out that way.
Right.
But,
Okay.
and we actually were talking about this before we came on. We would post everything on, I run the website, or I run the website.
Yeah.
And we would post up what we're selling, what we have, you know, what's available in our store, our stock. And we would, you know, post where we're going, what shows we would be posting up at, you know, what hobby night school, gym, whatever we're doing. And, you know, it was great, except for, you know, you'd share a card on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and then you have to come back and make sure you're constantly updating it. So we really have shifted away from selling on our website, and we do way more. We open an eBay store, like an actual eBay store, and we sell there, and it's been so much easier.
Yeah, between like eBay, Whatnot, Network, Instagram sales, Twitter buy sell trade threads,
Discord.
Yeah, Discord. It just became, and we were very open about that. We like, oh, we spent all this money. We've got a website. We got it. And then like, damn, I just sold the card and you just spent all that time and energy to post it, and now it's gone. So for us, the way our business is structured, it made more sense just to have the website because people have websites, but we operate independent of the website.
Our website's almost like a link tree. It's got all of our like
I gotcha.
Doing where we're at. But yeah, the switching from like a regular eBay, just selling like on eBay, to having an actual store on eBay has been a huge game changer for us.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, what the heck, those platforms are there. You might as well take advantage of it instead of like, you know, I deal with that a little bit on, and it's just a pain in the butt keeping like the finance stuff and all that crap up to date. Is just like, for what, I can just post this card on eBay and off it goes. So
exactly.
It's like it's not broke, why, you know, not reinventing the wheel here.
Yeah. And that's a big thing. People just trying to come in and, you know, just keep it simple, stupid. KISS, you know, the KISS principle.
Yep.
Now let's talk about the husband-wife dynamic. You know, you guys are doing this, like you said, you've been doing it your whole life, but like, do you guys at any point like get at each other's throats, or, you know, does it get a little hostile, or is it always, you know, roses and candy and beautiful?
No, I mean, overall, it's definitely beautiful. But when you have two people who care, there's sometimes there's going to be some friction, and I think a healthy friction is necessary for growth. And so we each have different backgrounds, and we each have an idea of how we can get to the mountaintop, right? And so sometimes, you know, it takes a high level of communication to yield the result that we want. And so I'm more of like, I'm a system and process guy. I am like boom, 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 boom. And Courtney's more of a free spirit in that way. And so where I might get like,
creative.
Yeah, and I'm like angsty, and I'm like, I'm up at 4 a.m, like, okay, man, let's get up and let's kick this day in the ass. And she's like, get the hell away from me. I need to sleep for, I'll get up at 1 p.m. or whatever time she decides to grace us with her presence.
That's what I do. We have 4 children.
And then like 9 o'clock, I'm ready to go to bed. And she's like, no, I'm motivated. It's time to work. I'm going to do this. I'm going to post these cards. I'm going to take these pictures. So, but ultimately, because we talk about this day in and day out. We're in sync in so many things. And so independent of cards, it's just part of being in a relationship. You understand, what makes that person happy. And then you pick and choose what's important to you. And then there's always some meeting of the minds in the middle.
Yeah, I think the only time when it comes to card stuff that there's like friction is I tend to be more of a like I buy stuff that I want to keep and I have a hard time like letting it go.
Mhm.
And he's a hunter. Like he likes to go and find this card that he wants, but he doesn't have that. He doesn't get like emotionally connected to them like I do. It's more like the thrill of the chase. And then once he has it, he's like excited to have it for a while. And then he's like, okay, I'm gonna sell this because I want to go buy this. And I'm like, but I love that. And I feel like that's where like I'll hide things. I'm like, we're not gonna sell this thing.
But
real quick, it sounds like I'm Courtney and you and Jeremy, you're Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to say Tony is the good-looking one. So
All right, now I know you're lying.
I got to a certain spot though where everything I bought, I didn't want to let go, and so like I was like, okay, I'm going to force myself to sell some of these cards, and when the card is gone, if I still have that desire to go get it back, I truly want it. And then I found out like a lot of the cards that I felt like I was attached to, that wasn't real. So there's only been a few cards where I'm like, I truly want to go get it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like what well, I guess we'll get into that a little bit later, but just give me like one example there where you were like, maybe you regretted moving one or something, something along those lines. You're like, ah, crap, we got to get that back.
I'm waiting for Jeremy's patent. We don't look backwards comment, because anytime someone asks that, that's what he says. He's like, no. He goes, I don't regret anything. He's like, it was meant to be at that time. We used that money to move into something else. And
Gotcha.
that is
for the sake of the question. She's 100% right. That's
yeah.
But we had a beautiful, back during the Zion and Ja days, we opened a box of Optic Contenders, and we went through this phase where any hit from a hobby box, she pulled it. And so it was like kind of like I like ripping wax, and I know it's fiscally irresponsible. And I'm watching her pull all the hits, and I'm like, what the hell? And we pulled an on-card Kobe auto. And even though we were Jordan guys, so I was never going to hold that card. But then we sold it, and then obviously whatever happened, is terrible. But
sure,
had I known, we probably would have held that, because it was just a beautiful on-card, bold blue auto, perfect centering, crisp corners, and it was. Yeah, but I don't really have any regrets other than that.
I'd say that's probably the only card that we sold ever that I was like, I wish we would have held on to that one. But otherwise, all the cards that I really love, I have. I won't sell those because
I gotcha.
And we're gonna get into those in a little bit, but Tone.
Yeah, before I get to my next question, you just briefly touched on ripping wax being, financially irresponsible. Like, you think we'll ever get to, I don't know, somewhere where that it won't be seen as that? Because it is. Like, I don't want to deal with no wax, or if I have it, it's just gonna sit there. It's like, man, this is about opening cards. I mean, it's like, it's so weird.
We still do it though, but part of our evolution in the hobby is, and it's not to put anybody else down, but we feel like we've become more educated and more well-rounded. Mm-hmm. So those singles plays, or when we were selective about, buying in the off season and selling, as the hype builds, we utilize some of that upside to offset, so we can sit down with the kids and, rip a $2,000 box that we know as each pack opens up, like, man, that was stupider when your hit's 400 Panini points, or just kicking the sack.
Or like my new obsession with finding Stranger Things boxes. I was just like, I just want to, and he's like, are you buying those to hold or rip? I'm like, I'm definitely gonna rip those. So
she's like, I'm buying two. I'm buying one to hold and one to rip.
Yeah, I would like to actually see Oz sit in front of a box of Stranger Things and see if he would be able to not rip that.
Oh no, that's getting ripped right away.
I know. I like half of me's like, I'm gonna buy 2 boxes. I'm gonna rip one just because I desperately want to, and then I'm gonna hold the other one till like whenever season 5 drops in like 2024, and then I'll sell it then because they're so hard to find. They're so hard to find. So I feel like in another few years they'll be even more rare at that point. But then after they do the final one, what's going to be the next push for those? Like after season 5, like if you don't sell it, you might as well rip it at that point.
Yeah, but Well, you know what? Let's hold off on the Stranger Things talk because I want to get into that. But I want to touch on another topic before we get into our,
All right. So, hey, just real quick, let me ask you guys. So, Hobby Night School, you guys do it every week, and it's pretty cool. What was the impetus behind starting that, and what's your goal with doing that?
So from when we like decided to like go all in with the hobby, Courtney runs a tight household. We've got 4 kids and 3 dogs, which is no joke. I work full time in infrastructure. I'm responsible. I've got responsibilities to my owner and to the people that work for me. So when we were participating in the hobby, I found that I started to gravitate towards like the education and the understanding of why and how things work. Courtney was gravitating towards like the marketing and just having fun and like going after the cards because the stuff that she collects, even though it's not for me, it's pretty fascinating. And we found that a lot of people that we approached were very standoffish, better than you. If you don't have a 7-figure card, you're not part of this. And so I said, what if we just did something where we brought somebody on and started real basic and answered some of the questions that we have or some of the questions people would DM us. And it was like my brainchild. And then, of course, I'm busy. And then Courtney just made it execute. And she's like, oh, by the way, this starts Wednesday. This is what we're doing. And the amount of people that slide into a DM just to say, hey, thank you. I never knew what that was. Or I asked questions and I got made fun of or teased or I felt uncomfortable. Well, what the hell are we doing if we're escaping reality, if this is escapism, where we can't even enjoy ourselves? And so that's where it started. And it's really snowballed.
Yeah. I couldn't say it better. It was Jeremy's like
You're damn right you can't say it better.
He's got so many good ideas, but he's so busy. And I'm more of like, let's just do this then. And I think he sometimes he gets nervous, like, oh, is that like really a good idea? I'm like, no, you're smart. It's a good idea. Let's do it. And then I just started messaging people. Like I sent out like 3 dozen like DMs, the first like week, and we had like 6 people go, yeah, I'll do it. That sounds weird, but sure. And then now people ask us like, hey, can I come on? I have an idea. And I think it's super cool.
Yeah, I think it's dope. I remember, I mean, I'm back into the hobby after a long time off, and some of the lingo or terms that I'm like, what are they talking about? And then I just stumbled across your thing the one day, and this is months ago, and I'm like, oh wow. And some of that stuff, I'm like, and it's cool. And like you said, like it's a strange, and Oz talks about it sometimes. Maybe it's just gatekeeping,
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, man. Like, let's educate. This is for all of us, man. The more the merrier. And the people who are here, let's expand and just educate everybody. So I think it's cool. And you guys have some awesome guests that come on. Who's been your, I don't want to, put anybody in a spot, but who's been some of your top or favorites that, you really enjoyed?
So, okay. I don't necessarily have favorites.
Yeah.
They're all like fun in their own way. Some of the ones that were like, we don't always talk, and I say this a lot and like verbatim, we don't always talk about things that are like sexy and like the coolest thing. We're not like pulling, triple logomans. We're not like showing off our multi-million-dollar collections. But when we have people on, we talk about things like how to insure your cards or, how to actually sell on eBay and what's the easiest way to do that. And where can you find more resources when you're trying to look up how to price your cards or where to sell them? And so all of those, like anytime, for me, it's not necessarily the guest. I love the guest. We had Adam,
the Real 27 guy
on last night. And that was one of the most fun conversations I think we've ever had. But we had Yamax on, and that was so interesting. And we had Detroit Tackett came on and just talked about Kobe Bryant cards all day.
Sarah Layton from Layton Sports Cards. And so
impressive.
It's, you get, again, my hobby participation is like in the education. I find it fascinating and seeing how we can apply it and does it work or what mistakes did we make? So whatever in that moment that's my world I'm consumed by. It's always like the greatest thing. I do think the insurance one was something where I just shut up and I didn't say a damn thing because I was out of my element. Like I had no idea. And I was just like overwhelmed with stuff that after reflection, I'm like, well, that makes sense. Or wow, we've been doing this foolishly. So it would be doing a disservice because each and every person truly brought value. And now there's a free resource that people, if they're interested in something, they can go find that topic, listen to it, and hopefully, if it helps one person, then it was well worth it.
I think I think having people message me specifically to be like, hey, that one episode, I didn't know that. I didn't know who even to ask about that. And it was so nice. Or like having people, when we had Sarah Layton on specifically, I got a lot of messages like, this was the kind of conversation we need to be having. When we had Peter Pac-Man, that was another one. It was like, these are the kind of conversations that they need to be having in the hobby, and we're not. So it's like, we appreciate you for like having these conversations that maybe like people shy away from because they don't want to talk about it. Makes you a little uncomfortable. And so it was cool.
The Peter Pac-Man one was the one that turned me on to you guys.
Cool.
I thought it was dope because you guys talked about stuff that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
And we should talk about it. It's all right. I mean, you don't have to agree, but let's just talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like it would be a hypocrite, right? And I always like use my kids as a scapegoat, but I can't tell my kids you need to behave a certain way and be accountable. And then when we have a platform, whether we intended it to be this way or not, like I have to lead by example. Otherwise, if I ignore it or brush over a potentially uncomfortable situation, then what the hell am I doing? I'm just I'm part of the problem at that point.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. And Tony, we have these discussions all the time, when we're looking for guests, and sometimes we're like, ooh, I don't know about that guy. He's a little controversial, or, what about these topics? But like you said, it should be things that are discussed, because like when you just come into the hobby and you don't, have these discussions with other people, whether it's, about racism or, feminism or whatever you want to get into, whatever, taboo subject. People come into the hobby and then they have these preconceived notions, and it just creates a certain type of tension that doesn't need to be there. Like I said, and like you said, if this is an escapism, these things shouldn't be here. You should just come in, you should be able to collect what you want, what you love, and have fun doing it. And, there shouldn't be discrimination of whatever, kind. So yeah, we really appreciate you guys. And like I said, Tony and I, we look to do that as well. Being Hispanic and having that aspect with that. So that's pretty, we commend you guys for doing that. So we thank you. But, let's get back to what I really, really want to know. And it's, what do you guys collect? What are your PCs? Who has the better PC? So what's going on with the guy? What are the cars that you keep saying you don't want to sell, that you just want to keep?
So she's definitely the better collector because she has like her murder genre thing. She's got like the pop culture cards. She's got like the old school 85 Bears. I'm like current Bulls, like a little bit of Jordan stuff. I've like really got into like Kobe. I wanted like a 90s refractor kick a little while ago.
Nice.
And I'm like starting to dip my toes in the Shaq market. But ultimately right now for me, everything's Patrick Williams with the Bulls. Like that's what I'm chasing. I'm driving all over God's green earth, buying and selling cards to get more P. Will. And inevitably, I did this with Kobe White a couple years past, and it was like on to something else. I know myself, but I'm enjoying the chase right now.
He will have the most epic Patrick Williams collection, and then once he has like everything, then he'll be like, okay, well, who do I want to collect now? And then he'll slowly piece it out and then go for the next thing. And like, he's in the process right now, and I don't want to give it away because we're going to share it, of doing like a deal in 3 different states with multiple different cards that he has to trade to one person in this state, drive him over there to then trade with this guy over here to get this card that this one guy wants.
Bro, it was legitimately like a 3-team deal. My man would not take cash. He knew he has the card that I want. I'm like, cool, I'll bring you cash right now. He's like, no, I want football and I want this. And so then I'm like, I'm going to shows that I didn't even attend to, trying to find. He wanted Josh Allen autographs. So I'm snapping pictures. I'm working the deal like, hey, how much? Hey, you can charge me full price. I'm just trying to get this card and make this man happy. And so the deal is done, but the deal's not really done until I have card in hand. You know what I mean? So we're dealing with an up-and-up person. So I think we're going to get there. But, yeah, we'll share that.
It's been a process. And every day, like, I'll open our Instagram, and there'll be messages from, like, several different people trying to trade, their Josh Allen cards to Jeremy for this guy. And I'll be like, we have like 6 messages from all these people and the guy he's trading with. I'm like, I get anxiety when it comes to that. I can't. Like, I'm not.
Dude, I'll be.
I don't like to trade. I'm like, this is a card I want. I'm just gonna buy this card.
Yeah.
I don't. The trading stuff. That's where I like. when you talk about like the dynamic between husband and wife, like if someone comes up to me and they're like, we're at a show and they're like, oh, I want to sell this card. I'm like, cool. I'm like, I'll look at it. I'll be like, I know we want this. Okay, here's the cash. So someone's like, oh, you're trading. I'm like, you gotta talk to him because I feel very much like that's like the part of the hobby that I'm terrible. Like I get very uncomfortable. I feel like I'm like either I feel like I'm like they think I'm trying to rip them off, or I feel like I made a bad deal for me, and I just get so stressed out about it.
It is. My phone will go off beep, and I give her the hey, I'm in the middle of like a bid review. There's some real stuff, like legitimate, like 7-figure deals going on. She hits me. I'm like, well, one of the kids, there's 2 kids are dead by the amount of time she called. It's like, hey, so and so is going to trade you that Josh Allen, but we got to send money here, and then we get those cards back from PSA. You're doing the deal, like. I'm like, just chill. I got this.
Dude, trading is dope, man.
I wanted to make a post on our Instagram, but like I can't make a post with messages from people because I feel like they think that I'm ignoring them. But like I see you posting. What's up? I sent you a DM. I'm too polite. I don't know, it's the Midwestern thing. I'm just like I can't engage on social media if we have unread messages in our DMs. It makes me like
I appreciate that. Hey, and you touched real quick on the 85 Bears. We have our favorite person from the 85 Bears. He's deceased now, but it's our buddy Ryan. So shout out to him and what he did with that defense. So
yeah. I'm slowly that's like a new like genre that I just started in. I pulled like when I was a kid, I pulled a Mike Singletary card. I talk about it a little bit. I love the stupid thing. It's like unlicensed. It's dumb. But when we were at a show, then someone came up and they had a William Perry card with like a part of the goalpost from the Super Bowl. And I'm like, now I have these 2 cards. Now I obviously have to collect all of the stuff.
Yeah, now you got a collection.
So that's where
it was like you bring X amount of dollars, right? You have an idea. Like our philosophy is pretty simple. We buy in the off season. We buy the biggest lots possible. That way, when it's time to sell, we can leave meat on the bone for other people. And word got out at the Ship Shawana show that we were buying bear stuff. And so you had every Midwesterner like, hey, do you want this? Like, I'm like, no, hell with the 85 Bears. I don't want it. But they're like, and I'm like, damn it.
like someone would come to our table and be like, oh, I have this card. And he'd be like, so that I couldn't,
like when your kids come to you and they don't like the answer, so they go to mom.
Yeah,
That's what I felt like I was dealing with. So I'm like, what, just take the cash box and whatever, man.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned was it murder genre?
Yes. So
okay.
I am a true crime junkie. I love it. And I turn my children. Well, not my son so much. He doesn't like it as much, but my daughter. The 2 of us, we are very big in like true crime. We like Jeremy's like, why do you consume that? It's so gross. It's terrible. But I love it. And so naturally I have leaned towards, buying cards that have like maybe a little bit of a macabre story behind them. Like, the Mark Jackson card with the Menendez brothers and OJ Simpson. And I'm like actively looking for a
Mongo
McMichael's card because he was part of the Susan Wright murder thing. So his wife like married to her ex-husband. I'm not sure. But so like I slowly, have been purchasing these cards and I have like sort of like a death row murder collection. That's very good. I know. I don't care.
No, I love it. I just told, Tony the other day, I'm probably gonna have to bring it out. It's a huge machete, signed by the first guy that played Jason, Ari Lehman. So, I mean, it's huge. I got it. And my wife, it came here and I was at work. I'm a mailman. So I seen it arrive and I was like, oh, crap. And I didn't know what it was. And I was like, I hope it's not the machete. So my wife, every time I get a package and I'm not here, she just, what is this? What is this? Ordering some more stuff. She opened it up and it's a freaking machete about this size. She's like, why the hell do you have a machete? I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, put that down. Do not touch that. That is signed. That is autographed. If you smear that, I'm going to be using that machete. So I told everybody, I said, hey, I got the Jason hockey mask that he signed, got the machete, and I got like a little kitchen knife, which is kind of, like you said, a little crazy. But I definitely now need the Freddy Krueger to go along with it.
Yeah, you got to get the claws.
Yeah. So I'm looking for that. So if you know, what's that?
Like a sweater, one of his sweaters from the movie.
That's what I said. The hat, the sweater, and the glove.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that.
I'll keep my eyes out.
That's crazy. You're a nut.
It's fun. Look,
Yeah.
listen, I'm collecting what I love. Okay.
It's me and him for sure. Kindred spirits.
There you go.
Yeah. This is crazy. I feel like I'm interviewing my cousins. But so you touched about the kids. So what do they obviously they collect, but what do they think about the hobby as a whole and stuff like that?
They love it. They truly love it. And anywhere, they're really reaping the benefits of the work we've done, because anybody that knows us, we give away a ton of stuff. It's all about paying it forward. We've never taken a dime from anybody, because at that point, depending on how you navigate it, you can sort of lose some authenticity in like your brand. So we always pay for stuff. So what people do when they try to give us something, we're like, no, just pay it forward to the next kid. Let's help grow this thing. Well, inevitably you're at shows and people are like, hey, here's some autographed RPAs for your kids. I'm like, what the hell? No, when I was a kid, nobody gave me this shit. Why is so I'm like routinely when my kid's like, walking around like a little strut, like he's got a little badass card. Like, you didn't earn that, man. Go cut some cardboard or go sort some cards, man.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to bring our daughter. She actually sells cards better than anybody I know. Like,
Really?
you go to those shows.
Hold on, let me paint a picture. You're at a trade night. You've got a bunch of 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids with little,
I know where you're going.
little pimples on their face. You know what I mean? They look at our cards and tell us, like, y'all ain't shit because I've got like 47 Joe Burrows. I'm walking around with 6 figures. And then they see Amelia with her card and she's like, yeah, this is 400. He's like, got any room? She's like, nope. And they're like, here you go. like you see, his puberty went 2 stages. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm sure we'll catch some flack for that, but it was like we had no idea, and it was like, man, she is just wheeling and dealing, slanging cards.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, how did you sell all of those cards that fast? She's like, I don't know. She's like, I just told them how much it was, and they gave it to me.
And then it was like instantly like light bulb. I'm like, oh.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
but she is a swimmer, and she collects like Olympic swimming cards. She loves Stranger Things, so I'm hoping that I can get her into that with me.
Nice.
I'm actually really excited about that because I think she's going to be really into it.
And this is the dynamic of a family where it's like, we know that like if we bring the kids involved, you can't say no.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, oh, babe, like I know Steven, like, I know it pissed me off because he didn't do his homework, but I just feel like if we bonded over a box of national treasures, it would just bring us closer. And I get like the look like, you mother. Let's just for the family. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, for the Stranger Things, are you just doing cards? Are you doing like, the memorabilia or anything like that?
Well, I have never been a memorabilia. I've been strictly cards as forever. But I have to tell you, it's hard to find Stranger Things cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to find the wax. I am following a few autographs for like, Millie Bobby Brown and Noah and, Logan and all this stuff. I'm excited about that. But like I saw a signed hat from Gatton and I'm like, oh my God, I need that hat. And I'm like, so now I'm like, maybe I want some memorabilia. Like there's stuff from the show that you can buy.
Yeah.
And I've never been into memorabilia, but with this is like, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe this is something because it just came out again and everyone's super hyped about it. But I have loved this show since the first season. And I feel like I'm so emotionally attached to these characters that, I mean, I no spoilers, but I sobbed through the whole last season. And I want stuff. I want like to feel like I have a piece of this, even when it's over next, they say the 5th one is the last one.
Yeah.
So you like,
and that's exactly like you said, cards is my thing. And then we talked to Mike Hefner. I don't know if you're familiar with him, president of Leland's. And he started talking about his memorabilia collection and how he's just all about memorabilia. He has some cards. Yeah, he loves those cards. He's like, but, memorabilia for me, like Ric Flair robes, just all kinds of crazy stuff. And we're like, looking at his stuff, bats, and, it's like, wow, and I started, my wheels started turning. And I was like, and I asked him, I was like, where do you see in the future? Do you believe like memorabilia is going to be, as big as cards? He goes, cards will always be probably number one. He's like, but if you ask me, memorabilia is going to take a big leap when it comes to, value and stuff. So getting the rare stuff. So with my daughter, like Funko Pops, I was like, I wasn't really into Funko Pops. And then now Stranger Things, she's like, I want all the Funko Pops. So she's collecting the little mini ones. So then I was like, oh, okay. So then I look online and I see a Funko Pop, Millie Bobby Brown 11 in her, her uniform, if the hospital uniform, holding her Eggos, and it was signed by her, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Boom, got it from eBay. So that's coming. So she doesn't know. But yeah,
recently found out that they have, and I don't know how I missed it because I'm in like all the forums for it. They have a whole set of Stranger Things Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh, nice.
And
I think she has a little like, don't they have them in the little?
Millie Bobby Brown has one of her like as 11, bleeding from the nose, like holding waffles, like as if the blood is like strawberry jam
like
on
the syrup.
So I'm like, I just realized that like this week. I'm like, how did I miss these cards? And now like, so that's my last thing.
So I think in probably 2 to 3 months, I'm going to have an entire shrine of Stranger Things like stuff. Just, I already have posters that I got from each season that I put in frames that I have up on, on my walls around here. And, but she wants all the, the little things. So I think that show, that's an iconic show. There's shows that come around, like The Sopranos, and, Game of Thrones and things like that. This is one of them. This is just like, and it hits all the feels when it comes to, if you grew up in that. I don't know how old are you guys?
We're more like 90s. I was born like when it was set, I think. So I'm a little.
Okay. You're a little bit older.
Really younger than the show.
Yeah. So for Tony and I, what I mean, that was our wheelhouse. You know what I mean? So it's like when the kids are going through that and riding their bikes, and doing all that crazy stuff, going on adventures. I mean, we didn't deal with like, Stranger Things like that craziness, but in my mind's when it just takes me back to when I'm a kid. So I think that's something, even when the 5th season comes and it's over, that it's always going to be one of those shows that
we did. It was the hood.
We made it out the hood.
So
you think about Stranger Things and you talk about it being like it's culturally like impactful. If you look at the style that has come out, like the clothing. I was walking around, the store the other day with my daughter buying clothes, and the impact of like that show being so popular with like fashion. I'm seeing stuff from like very 80s centric clothing, hairstyles, makeup coming back, and you can't like ignore the fact of like the cultural impact of a show like Stranger Things, and the fact that now you have the collectible aspect of it. It's hard to be like, oh, this isn't going to be something that's significant.
Yeah. So everybody's gonna start rocking that Will bowl cut.
I don't think so. I feel like the real villain of Stranger Things is his barber. I don't.
What is it? Joyce? Is that her name?
Joyce.
Winona Ryder.
Gorgeous. I love her.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They make bikes. Each season has a bike that you can collect, and skateboard boards. Yeah. So it's insane the things that they think of.
I have no idea what the hell anybody's talking about.
Never watched it. He hasn't seen it.
Oh, you haven't watched it?
No.
He won't.
Oh boy.
No, he won't.
We had a guy, we call him the commish. He's from our fantasy football league. He's a big Game of Thrones guys and other shows. So we're like, did you ever see Stranger Things? He's like, not watching that. Just like you said. I was like, just give it a try. He's like, I don't know. I said, just watch the first season, and then if you don't like it, just kick it to the curb. He binged it in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
The entire.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, I just finished, and then he came up with some cockamamie. Oh, I don't like how in season 3 this. I was like, don't get like all technical with it. You know what I mean? Like if you can believe in dragons and wizards and Game of Thrones, you can believe in a little kids with magical powers and Stranger Things.
He doesn't watch any of it, and what's crazy is it's more realistic than Game of Thrones would be. Look at what I don't even want to get into it, but there's like a lot of like stuff that people are like, oh, look at this. And, when they said the whole 4th of July thing, the same day that CERN found the God particle, like the guys who run that show are brilliant.
Oh yeah. Duffer Brothers. Yeah. So, you know what? We're probably boring everybody, but I mean, you and I know Tony's a big fan. So commish now, maybe one day my man we'll do a little, a little session.
He's like, no, I'm not going to.
No.
This guy's an asshole.
Hey, so you guys, actually, I'm gonna go back to back here, Oz. Thoughts on the current state of the hobby? Everybody's talking like the sky's falling.
It's a beautiful place, man. I don't understand where that narrative comes, because those are the same people that like say if you flip cards, you're bad. You only need to collect what you love. So if you're truly a collector, if prices are coming down and you can go and get those grails, which gets thrown around too much, it's a beautiful time. And I think, unfortunately, the narrative on social media is not always accurate, because we're active at shows. We're interacting with people in real life, and it's not doom and gloom. Now, yeah, sure, vendors are concerned about like maybe if they dumped a bunch of money. But from my perspective, I'm having a blast. I'm buying like crazy. I'm transacting. I'm getting out of cards that I no longer have a connection to. And I'm meeting people who are all walks of life. And we're cultivating these relationships that, quite frankly, if it wasn't for that piece of cardboard to make that connection, I would have never known how awesome some of these people are. And so, like, to me, it's an awesome time, man. I'm having a blast.
I 100% agree. I think a lot of the negativity just comes from like, I don't know, like maybe not longevity in the hobby, or maybe not understanding in general, how the economy and markets work overall. Like a lot of the hobby is young now. So,
I also think it's a lot of people who like, this is not a hobby. They like to front like it's a hobby, but this is how they pay their bills. And when you can't get over on people as easily as you did, it's all of a sudden it gets a little uncomfortable.
But we see a drop in the market every summer. We see a drop in the market every time it gets around like December, where people celebrate, holidays, and you can sell cards, sell in December, but people are saving their money to buy gifts for their family. And we're in Michigan, so it's cold 90% of the year. We get like 2 months of like nice weather here, and I'm a diehard collector. I love all things hobby, and sometimes it's hard for me to pry myself indoors to do card stuff, because I'd rather be outside with my kids and like enjoying the sun for like the 2.5 minutes that we get it here.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you guys feel? You guys are interviewing people, and are we off base? Or I mean, it's cool to have a difference of opinion, but like for me, that's honestly how we feel.
I feel like it's like natural, like ebb and flow, and then also like it's not going to change us because we are collectors. So.
Yeah.
I asked them the question, not you.
No, like you said, we're collectors. So, like you said, it's just fun now, because now there's cars that 2 years ago, you thought to yourself, there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to get that Grail card that I've been looking for. Like, I'm a huge Allen Iverson collector. And there were some cards that I was like, man, never going to get that one. Never going to get that one. And now it's like, I can get that card right now if I wanted to. So it's like, you have so many options now, and with, the way I'm going now, like I said, with the memorabilia and everything, it's just a smorgasbord, and like you said, you can either look at it one of two ways. And like you said, the people that have come in and have made this their business, their livelihood, and, every day they're like seeing these prices drop. So now it becomes stressful. So it's like you said, it's not really a hobby. You made it a business, and and it's going to feel negative if you can't sell those cards that, when you put all this money to it a year or 2 years ago. So it's a catch-22. But for us, I know for Tony, I'll let you speak for yourself. But for me, man, it's just like, it's beautiful being able to go on and find a card that, like I said, there was no chance in hell a year or two ago that I would have been able to get.
Yeah, for me, the last 2 weeks, I've bought the most cards I've bought in the last 2 months. Like, there was a time there I just wasn't buying cards. I'm like, I'm not gonna pay these crazy prices. Like, it's cool. I mean, I like the hobby and I'll be around, but these last 2 weeks, now it's like the old days. The mailman keeps coming by. I'm like, and it's great, and it's stuff that I like. I was telling Oz yesterday, I got a card, Randall Cunningham. He's my guy from the Eagles back in the day. And the card isn't the most expensive card in the world. It'll never make me rich. I think it was like $100, whatever, maybe that. And like, it's dope to me. And that card a few months ago was probably $500 or $600. Like, no. So now it's back to where it should be, because a lot of these cards got to places where they shouldn't have been. I mean, it's crazy. Like, $18,000 cards a few months ago are now maybe 10 or 8 or 9. So yeah, for me, it's hobby nirvana.
Yeah.
For me.
And I hope, like, my hope for people is like they pay attention to what happens. Like, so we set some money aside for, we did the same thing everybody did last year. Is we sold a bunch of cards to go to the national, to not really buy any cards. Like, we had a cool story where we left and bought a massive lot off-site, like up in Wisconsin, and then came back. But there wasn't anything for us to buy because we're probably just above the dollar boxes and then right below the 5-figure cards.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was overpriced because everybody's trying to make their nut back because they incurred that cost to be there. So what we did is like, let's hold some money back. And people are selling cards 50 cents on the dollar because they're trying to get liquid to go. And so, like, my point is, like, if that's your prerogative, that's cool. But if you pay attention to what the market does and you continually educate yourself, you can navigate these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, anytime that people are getting crazy, there's an opportunity. You might have to get out of your comfort zone and maybe go like I love soccer. Like, I think it's tremendous opportunity. I understand, like, soccer players don't even have to be good. Americans get excited. Like, Christian Pulisic is the greatest soccer player of all time if you talk to an American.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, like, if you understand how markets react, there's always opportunity. And so, like, and I understand, like, people don't want to be educated like that. But if you're willing to put in a little bit of work, you can navigate these waters and you can pivot and be okay. And so we're lucky because we have a team that love doing this. And so to me, it's been awesome.
Yeah. And that's good that you say that, just being able to pivot, and it's all about education and knowing the markets and knowing, it's easy because we just had a show that we set up at, and I've always just bought what I loved. Like I said, I Allen Iverson, that's my main thing. So I'm not a guy that sets up at shows. We just did it just to have the experience. So I went there with my Allen Iverson collection. That's all I had, so a bunch of Allen Iverson cards. And then I was like, I was telling Tony before the show, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna do well this show. I just want to go experience it and see what happens. And it was just like, I got there, and then within 5 minutes, I have like 3 people trying to buy me out, and everybody's loving my PC, and it was just, I made a ton of money, but it was just, if you can buy what you love, and you could still make money in this hobby at the end of the day, and if you, like I said, it doesn't even have to be what you love, but if you're due diligent and you're looking at the market, there's ways around it that, and instead of just looking at it and being negative and talking about the market dropping and not, this sucks, I'm getting out of here, this is done, then you're just being an idiot, because that's not what's going on. Like you said, there's ebbs and flows. So you just gotta be smart about it.
I think the panic reaction is just, it's like herd mentality. And when you see one person who's maybe like influential saying it, and then that it just causes a chain reaction. So I think, as everything kind of settles and, we get through the summer and things start to go back up like that, or like level off, I think people will calm back down. I think it's just like, it's the summer. I've never gone through a summer in sports. I've never gone, well, with the exception of 2020, where sports cards were like all summer. It's just,
right. It's just that low right now. You got baseball going on.
And it's not like super exciting baseball.
Yeah. Football's about, it's on the horizon. Everybody's gearing up for football. So like you said, if you haven't got your football stuff by now, you probably, you're already too late. But it's just the cycles. And a lot of the people that came in, they don't have ideas about that. They just seen a year or two ago, it didn't matter what you bought. The prices were just going up and up and up and up. And now they're seeing dips. They're like, oh, got to get out of here. This doom and gloom. Now, let's talk about that. You guys have been doing this for such a long time. So, you guys are active on social media. So how do you guys, with content creation, how important is it to your business? And, how do you guys stay fresh with it?
We're natural. Like, if anything, we have to clean it up. Our household we're all loud people. We're very sarcastic, and we're very much blue collar in the way we were brought up. And so it's just natural. Like, I mean, we feel people often who come to our home would think that we're a TV show. And that's not like stroking our own ego. It's just who we are. We have big personalities. And so it's just a matter of cleaning it up and making it like appropriate, because we do walk a fine line that if it's like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., it is definitely, mostly kid friendly, but we have the ability to go PG-13. Well, her NC-17 when you get a little bit later in the evening.
I've been called a vulgar person like so many times in my life. It's funny because my daughter, I think, said it the best one day. She was like, Mom, I think we all have main character energy. We're all the main character in this story. I'm like, everyone can't be the main character. She's like, well, we are. She's like, well, I am. I'm like, okay, really?
That's great.
It's funny. And as far as like, I don't know, keeping it fresh, I feel like I just like sort of put out what I think is funny and what I want to see. You were talking about the reels. That's something, that whole thing with TikTok started because I wanted the kids to be excited about it. And they love TikTok. So I'm like, well, let's make TikToks. And so we started making TikToks, and they would come up with ideas and I would come up with ideas. One of the best TikToks I ever had was, it's so stupid. I got a PSA 3 Shaq rookie. And I was just like, PSA 3? I'm like, do you agree with this? And I kind of showed the card, and it had like a bend in the corner. I literally didn't look at the card, and I didn't do it. I just like videotaped it and put it up on TikTok. 200,000 views, 60,000 shares. I had people call me stupid.
Oh, wow.
You hated you, like the most insane things. But it was like super viral, and it was no thought at all. It was literally like, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna share this dumb card that we got a PSA 3.
I would say there was some thought. It was, we're gonna be honest about what we do, man. We take our fair share of L's. Like I have I'll come up with a cockamamie idea that I'm like, okay, this could work. And I'm like proof of concept. And then it's like an utter failure. But when we share it, like, don't make this mistake. We already did that for you. Learn from our mistake. Yeah. And so like, we were like one of the first people to grade with HGA. And so like, we were excited to get the slabs back. It was like 11 o'clock on a Friday night. We were having a couple of drinks and just doing like a reveal. And the subgrades were they were whack. And I had a couple drinks, and I just had a natural reaction. And I was like, I'm pro-consumer. The more competition, the better off we're going to be. Yeah. But I poked a little fun at it. We didn't think anything of it. A couple days later, we go to the movies, and we come out, and our phone is like a vibrator. Like Hardporn had taken a clip without context, posted it, trashed HGA. So then they went to our YouTube video, and there's me in that little moment, like not saying, hey, I hope these companies successful, just me like having a natural reaction.
Like, what is this?
They are just tearing me apart, telling Courtney like she needs to paint her nails and like she sounds like a miserable bitch.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, we're good people. We're just sharing what we're doing. And I was like, man, the internet's fucking mean.
I know. Never had anything like where a lot of people paid attention to what we were doing, and it was like you had the people who just hated HGA get on and be like, "Oh, you guys are right, they suck."
PSA fanboys.
And then HGA people getting on and being like, "Oh, they haven't even barely started, and you're trying to tear them down." I'm like, if you watch the whole video, we were like super complimentary, like, "Oh, these are really nice looking." This one moment where stuff didn't add up, we were like, "What's this? That's weird." And it totally got taken out of context. I had my friends screenshotting pictures of our YouTube video that were in Facebook groups that I didn't even know existed. And like, oh, you're all over the internet. I'm like, oh no. So now every time something starts to go slightly viral, I have that like moment of panic where I'm like,
here we go again.
I'm gonna delete
Here we go again. And Jimmy 420, I'm gonna find you, whip that little ass of yours.
My new thing is I don't read the comment section when I get like lots and lots of comments like that where it's just like more comments than I can keep up with. I've gotten to the point where it's like not reading the comment section on my own stuff is self-care because I don't care what people have to say at that point.
It can get ugly.
Yeah. So that probably ties into our next question there. So what's the most important lesson you guys have learned since you began your hobby, journey and business?
Honesty, man. Like if you tell the truth, you're good, right? And I find people who acknowledge shortcomings or mistakes, I find those people to be authentic, and I gravitate towards them. And look, it's a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. I never once beat in my chest and say, I'm the man, we're the shit, we're better than anybody. It's like, we're just having fun with it. And guess what? Like this worked for us. Let's put a little coin in our pocket or got us some cooler cards. We just want to share that, or don't do this. This cost me a lot of money. And then I couldn't buy or sell cards for a month because I was broke, which everybody sucks, man. I love when Oz shows up and drops off a machete in a hobby box.
Mine's similar. Mine is also like, try not to take everything so seriously. I feel like in the beginning, when we first started, because we've been collecting for a long time, but we've only been on Instagram for like 3-ish years or something for card stuff. When we first started, it was like, I was more like, oh, we got this cool card, I want to share it. And Jeremy was like, oh, that's not the best card that exists, so we can't post
It's not a PMG, Courtney. Get it out of here.
So it was more now, like one of the lessons that I learned is if you like it, other people are going to like it too. And not to take everything so seriously. It isn't that serious. It isn't. Even if you have $1 million card, it's still a little piece of cardboard with a man on it. So
or lady
or cartoon character or Spider-Man. Yeah. So it's not that serious. It's fun. And just every time you try to make it too serious, you suck the joy out of it.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
I think there's like a section of the hobby that is only happy if they're upset. Like there's certain people that I watch and I'm like, man, this man's never happy no matter what the hell's going on. He's mad at somebody for doing something. And I'm like, it's like a weird way to live your life. But man, if that's how you're going to participate, cool. I'd probably just excuse myself from that.
Nobody hates collecting cards more than people that collect cards.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's just a social media thing in general. I mean, he's always got that. Oz calls him the ass in the back.
It leads. So if it's negative, more people are going to jump on that than the positive stuff, So.
Yeah. So, we're going to end this like we always do. What advice would you give someone new coming into the hobby, that is going to set them up not only for success, but joy, not so much the negativity. So, what advice would you give them?
I'll let you lead.
Okay. So if I was ill prepared. So my best advice is, again, and I know everybody says it, don't buy stuff you don't like. Don't buy something that if you get stuck with it, you're going to be like, oh, I wish I didn't have this. And it doesn't even have to be stuff you love. Everyone's like, oh, buy what you love. It doesn't have to be what you love. But don't buy something that you don't like. Like, you will never see me buy an Aaron Rodgers card. I got one for free in a lot once. It just came with it. But I will not actively go out and be buying Packers cards because I don't want to get stuck with it. I don't like it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want it in my house. It isn't even that I don't like. I'll buy stuff from like the Cowboys. I don't like the Cowboys, but I don't.
Ew.
I only have a friend who really loves the Cowboys, so I've gotten a little softer on them. But I just don't buy stuff that you hate to try to turn it into something that you like. Just don't do that, because you're gonna, like, at the end of the day, you might get stuck with it, and then now you have this thing that you hate that you paid for.
Mine would be mindful of what you're consuming and make sure you consume a broad spectrum of stuff. Like, I consume like content that I don't like, but I do it so I can get a better understanding or a different perspective. And so, like, I ask a lot of questions. So while you're doing that, I would also build up a small community of people you can trust, somebody that respects and cares about you enough to tell you, hey, yes or no, instead of just allowing you to maybe make mistakes that could harm you.
He's so much better at this than I am. I'm more like, I don't know, just don't do some of the bad, stupid stuff that I did.
Well, I just figure if I close it, we end on a positive note. Yeah, but have fun, man. This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be fun. And there's so much stuff out there. Go look for it. There's more than the comment section of a card porn post.
And for sure. And I don't consume stuff I don't like. So he is better than me at that. Because I'm like, no, I can't listen to this person. They drive me crazy.
Yeah, Courtney's like, if somebody's not being slaughtered or there's not monsters and kids, that she's like, I can't get into it.
His voice is just off. I'm like, nope, sorry, I can't listen to this one.
Yeah, respect. Hey, so guys, before we get out of here, let everybody know where they can find you at online and shows and all that good stuff.
At Reckless Cards, except for Twitter, it's at Reckless_cards.
Yeah, we're Reckless Cards on everything. You see our little logo in the background. It's the same, the card with the fire. Yeah. Literally any social platform that we are on, it is Reckless Cards.
OnlyFans at Reckless Cards. It's the same everywhere. We got to get that bag. We got to get that bag.
How much is that?
is that are the Panini points? Gotcha. Okay.
We'll get you guys a promo code.
There you go.
Hey, but in all seriousness, before we hopped on, we were telling you I love the positive aspect of it. I get enough negative crap elsewhere. And so like I commute a lot, and so I love listening to it. And so I was listening to the episodes that you guys were doing, and the thing that resonated with me the most was about being a good parent. And if I wasn't here, I'd want somebody to be a good parent to my child. And I think if everybody just led with that and treated other people with a little bit of decency, man, we'd all be a lot happier.
Love it. Love it. Listen, this was great. You guys are great. You know, we really appreciate you guys coming on. You know, you guys are doing your thing, and it's like you guys are pros. You've interviewed a ton of people that have big, big clout in the hobby. And, so like I said, it's pretty cool for you guys to come on and do your thing. So we really appreciate it. So we're definitely going to check you guys out. You said you're going to the National, correct?
Wednesday through Sunday.
Oh, so you'll be there the whole time.
We're doing Hobby Night School live from Layton Sports Cards booth on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So that'll be fun.
Nice.
What time are you guys coming in?
Well, I'm doing Thursday into Sunday. Tony, you're doing
Thursday into Saturday.
Well, let's link. I'll buy a couple of adult beverages or coffee or whatever his choice is.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Appreciate it. All right. So we'll end it like that. And then as always, keep focused, keep positive, and keep collecting. Hey, yo, Tone, bring the beat back.